My mind run deep in my thoughts when I didn't have it.
Okay, next one we're gonna do deadlifts. So Tilly here is gonna demonstrate again. Deadlift, very simple to explain, but there's a lot more going into it than it looks. It isn't just a case of picking it up. So first thing she's gonna do, she's gonna set up to the bar. So as she sets up, she's gonna make sure the bar is over her midfoot. So she's aiming for probably her second eyelet of her shoelaces there. So she's now, and as you can see, she's put her feet in hip width, not shoulder width. This is a common mistake that I see with deadlifts. So just go shoulder width like you would on a squat. So as you can see there, she's really wide there, and the problem is if she's in that position there, her arms are going to be even wider to grab that bar. Just drop the bar like that. So she's halfway through the nail in there, and she's not a big girl, so she's just wasting range of motion there. She's making her arms shorter for no reason. So she's going to start with a hip width position, which there, as you can see, stack joints, a hip joint directly below a knee joint above her ankle joint. She's going to slightly rotate her feet outwards because that engages our glutes more. The next thing she's going to do is she's going to squeeze her. She's going to imagine she's got tangerines in her armpits, and she's going to squeeze them as hard as possible while reaching down. So she's trying to squeeze every bit of orange juice out of them tangerines there. So what that's doing, it's making her arms as long as possible, and it's making her spine super rigid, activating those strong upper back muscles and them strong lat muscles. From this position here, she's got that tension in her armpits. She's going to brace against her stomach. She's going to fill out that belt, and she's going to squat down to the bar. As you can see there, she's now in a perfect deadlift position for her body type. So this position here now, she's going to make sure she's kept that tension there, and she's going to leg press that bar off the floor, just like that. So we'll just show that again, just put it down, Tilly. So the 3 steps that we're looking for is foot position, tangerines, and then we're going to squat to the bar. And as you can see, she's in that position, and she's going to leg press and then hip drive. Yep, put that down. So as she's coming up with that bar, it's a 2-part movement. We're thinking leg press till it gets to our knees, and then when it gets to our knees, we're thinking hips to bar. So we're squeezing those glutes to the bar like a door hinge. So leg press, hinged. Perfect, good. Just show us a bit slower so you can identify the difference of the two. Yes, good. So a perfect deadlift should be smooth off the floor, and then it should gain speed as it comes up higher, as it gets closer to your hips. If it slows down at the knee, it's usually a poor starting position or weak glutes.
I mean, look, at the end of the day, I'm here to be the voice for the people and break the generational curse.
Okay, what I'm going to do now is demonstrate a sumo deadlift. So the way I like to do it, I like to set up in my conventional position, just so I know I'm central into the bar. So here, now I'm going to use these rings to identify where my foot position is going to be, to make sure that I'm symmetrical. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to move this left foot, and I'm going to line up my shin bone directly onto that ring there. Obviously width is personal preference. This is the way I do it, but we're aiming for stacked joints, and obviously your mobility is a a big factor in this. So this is as far as my mobility goes. This is more like a semi sumo. So I've located that ring there. I'm going to do the same on this side, which I have done. So now I'm going to lock out my legs completely. And what I'm doing here now, I'm making sure I'm balanced. As I look down, I'm not too far over on one side or the other. So this position here now, I now like to squeeze my glutes and get nice and upright. I'm going to now use the tangerine method. So I'm thinking them oranges are under my armpits. I'm locking my lats into this position now. So I'm now super tight in this balanced position. I'm going to brace my core against the belt. I'm going to stiff leg to the bar. So from here, tense, brace, stiff leg, grab that bar, and I'm already pulling slack from here. And as I push my hips into the bar, as you can see, I wear more than this bar, so it starts coming off the ground. I'm pulling that slack, and as I'm pulling the slack, I'm wedging myself into the bar. Bar's going to want to start coming, and I'm going to think hips through. I'm not thinking at all about pulling the bar. I'm just thinking hip drive. So here, slack is pulled. As I push my hips in, that bar is coming off the ground. So I'm not pulling this bar up like that. What I'm doing is wedging myself into and keeping that bar as close to my shins as possible. So, common mistakes I find here is people going super wide when they can't, just to shorten the range of motion, but they've got no balance, no stability, and they're not strong in this position. My hips cannot rotate that way, so there's absolutely no point me doing that. So I like that semi-sumo position, and as you get better at it and your mobility gets better, you can try and extend your range of motion, but less range of motion isn't always better. You need to be in your optimal position.
Trying to share my story, this is history.
So, common mistakes with the deadlift. What I see is people setting up too close to the bar. So I've got all the way shins to the bar. Yeah, and then do a deadlift there. And as you can see, she's getting no leg drive at all. This is just going to be a complete stiff leg deadlift, which you don't want to do that. You don't want to deadlift in that position. Another mistake is too far away from the bar. So her toes are underneath the bar. As you can see, she's in a squat position, and that's just good. All that's going to happen is her hips are going to kick off, and she's going to be in that stiff leg position again. So they're the major downfalls of a deadlift. Make sure your setup is perfect. So for her, she's aiming for the middle of her foot, hip width, and she's squatting down to the bar. You'll know if you're in the right position because when you squat down to the bar, your shins will be touching the bar. Like so. Good. Brilliant. So another problem that I see very often is not pulling the slack out of the bar. So we're going to demonstrate how to do that. So she's going to set up. So as you can hear that noise that she just made there, that is the slack being pulled out of the bar. If the slack's not being pulled out of the bar, just don't pull the slack and just snatch it. As it comes off the ground, you hear that clink. That's the tension not being pulled out of the bar. So what will happen is when that weight gets heavy, it's going to pull you forward like that. You're going to be in this position because the tension needs to be prized off the floor, like wedging yourself into the bar for the weight to come off the ground. So the way that she's doing that is she's generating tension here as she was before. She's going down to the bar, and with her upper back, she is prizing that bar off the ground. She's pulling that bar with her upper back. And it's going to want to go if that weight is less than your body weight and you're prizing that bar. The second you put your hips under you, the bar is going to come off the ground. Yeah. Yeah, so there you go. She weighs more than 60 kilos, so that bar hovers off the ground. So that's a trick that I see a lot of people missing out. If you're a 100 kilo man, it should take 100 kilos on the bar for you to start even feeling a deadlift. You get in that position, you're the counterbalance. If there's 100 kilo on the bar and you weigh 100 kilo, that bar should be hovering. So when you get 3 plates on there, that's when it should start working. But it's a bit of a cheat code because you're the counterbalance of the weight on the bar, so you technically don't have to lift as much. So that's common mistakes that I see on the deadlift. Not bracing. So what would happen is she'll get in that position, she doesn't brace. What's going to happen? She's going to get in that slip leg position, rounded back position, because you've got to remember your lower back is part of your core. So if you're not bracing that core, your lower back is going to get all that work. So if you're cranking your belt up super tight and you can't brace your core, what are you using the belt for? The belt is to let your core press against, not in substitute of a core. So other common mistakes that I see is not thinking of it as a leg press and just pulling the bar. What happens there is you end up in that common position where you're over the bar and you just pulled it and you're here and you get in no man's land. That's the common mistake that you see in most commercial gyms, and then people call deadlifts for being bad for your back. The deadlifts are great for your back, they'll bulletproof your back, but if you do them incorrectly like that, then they are very bad for your back. So like I said, that's a common mistake. Also, not wedging into the bar, which is kind of similar to pulling the slack, but what we're doing is we're thinking ourselves as a door wedge and we're prizing our way into that bar. And this is very important for a sumo deadlift, which I will demonstrate actually. So just show us an example of wedging into the bar. Yeah, there you go. So she is creating this door wedge here, and she's thinking about just pushing that wedge through. And as she fires them hips through, then you extend to lock out a deadlift. So another common mistake that I find is people trying to pull the deadlift off the ground rather than pushing the hips to it. And what happens is you just end up in this position, a stiff leg sumo position, which is terrible to lift weights. So I'll show you what that looks like. So if you just start thinking about pulling the bar, it will look like this. When you want it to look like this. Another major common problem that we see, squatting too low into the bar. So they think you have to squat really low, get the hips as really low as possible. The only thing that happens there is your hips are going to shoot up to the position they want to be in, but then you're going to be over the bar, so it's going to look like this. Which is also a terrible position. So sumo is a very technical lift that needs to take time mastering. I wouldn't usually start a beginner on sumo because of that. I would start them conventional and then move them over to sumo. But sumo is probably one of the best hip builders, and it's helped my deadlift, my conventional deadlift, go up every time. So don't overlook sumo.
Back against against the ropes, kept swinging like Tyson. Back in the booth now, snapping as a python. Had to rise up to the horizon. Use my words to connect, no Verizon. Speak the truth, I'ma show you chase your dreams.